There's a lot. Vladimir Putin is a gangster, and the Russian government is a gangsterocracy. There's no question about that. But unlike Iran, we actually have common goals with Russia. We have a lot of nuclear weapons, and we don't want to see nuclear weapons proliferate. So that's a big one. Muslims, they have huge problems with Muslim terrorism from Chechnya. We have those problems too. They have them even more than we do. China, of course, is a mutual interest. China is expanding. How are we going to deal with that? These are things that we have to talk to the Russians about, even though it's Vladimir Putin. And it's the reason why Putin, because Americans tend to be a little bit wide-eyed and innocent still when it comes to foreign policy, it's the reason why Putin was allowed to consolidate his tyranny in Russia after that little brief glimmer of freedom that came after the fall of the Berlin Wall. For a moment, you had Boris Yeltsin, you had some free press, Putin, the former KGB guy, came back and established his gangsterocracy, while George W. Bush, for one, he looked in his eyes and I saw his soul and he's a man I can deal with. Then Barack Obama with his reset button, and they just keep getting, manhandled by this guy. Trump, so far, has not been, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So there was a wonderful, wonderful interview with Defense Secretary James Mad Dog Mattis. What's his name? Dickerson, is that the old Democrat hack? And he was asked, it was really, if you want to know what the news is, this interview probably was more news than anything else. And he was asked about Russia. What is Russia after? This is cut number 3.
What do the Russians want?
Beats me. Right now, Russia's future should be wedded to Europe. Why they see NATO as a threat is beyond me. Clearly, NATO is not a threat, but right now, Russia is choosing to be a strategic competitor for any number of reasons, but the bottom line is NATO is not a threat, and they know it. They have no doubt about it.
You've said that Russia is trying to break apart NATO. Is the United States going to take any action to deal with Russia as a threat to NATO, either in helping in the Balkans or in any other way?
Right now, we are dealing with Russia, attempting to deal with Russia under President Trump's direction in a diplomatic manner. At the same time, while willing to engage diplomatically, we are going to have to confront Russia when it comes to areas where they attack us, whether it be with cyber, or they try to change borders using armed force. And that's admittedly a strategically uncomfortable position.
Okay, so what he's talking about is, again, if Russia were run by a sane, decent, normal kind of Western leader type, we'd have plenty of mutual interests. But because Putin knows in order to keep his tyrannical power in force, he's got to demonize America. This is internal politics. This is internal Russian politics. He's got to demonize America. He's got to demonize gay people. That's a big thing because there's this big kind of what would you call it, a millenarian apocalyptic Christianity in Russia. So, the gays have to be demonized, and he's doing that. He has to have expansionist goals, just like, Hitler, because once you start to, once you're oppressing your own people, they're like, what are we getting? Well, we're becoming a world power again, so we're going to take over Crimea, we're going to go into the Ukraine. These are all challenges that Trump is going to have to face, and so far,